Alright everyone, this video is going to be quick. It's just a little quick recap of the last project that we did. So with that said, we're going to be going over this stuff. What went wrong, what went right, and with that, let's cue the intro. So what I ended up doing here, let's start with this. As you know, the sculpting process, as you saw with the previous videos, now this was a test print as a solid, as you guys know. I did this at 40 millimeters in height, which I also ran at this one here at 40 millimeters in height, which lovely focusing job this is doing. I'm sorry for that. There's not much using my little tiny camera, and there's not much I can do about that. Alright, so this one, as you can tell, is incomplete for obvious reasons. It's a solid one color. It doesn't have the loop, and I needed to know what the results were at that point. And you can see there were holes in them at this stage. If I knew what I did with the other one, the smaller one that I did, that was only a single boot, I'd be talking about that as well. When I finally got to the point of two colors, I did another test print. I was going to use a wood material, but unfortunately it just ended up being too brittle for the process. So unfortunately I ended up going with plastic. You know, I really like that purple. That looks kind of nice on that. But ultimately this was a test print. I stopped it midway on purpose because it was late at night and I didn't want the printer running without me around it. The idea was to see how well it printed. So, again, who cares? Then when I first got the printer, I bought this blue over at Home Depot it was really priced. It was a PLA, obviously, and everything I did, it failed printing. Since I've done some adjustments and some upgrades and some fixings to the printer. So I did a test print to see if it would work. Again, I wasn't expecting it to, but it did, and it actually worked beautifully, as you can see off this little cube that I did. And so I ended up going with the end results of what you're seeing here. And is this the large one or that the large one? Okay, this is the 40 millimeter one that we're looking at right now. So this is the larger one. Again, I felt that was just slightly too big. It was close, but slightly too big. So I ended up going in and actually reducing it in the simplified 3D, and finally decided on this little guy. This was the perfect size for what I was looking to do. Now looking at this, the print came out pretty decently. I'm happy with the print. A couple of things that I probably could have fixed if I really wanted to go back and do so is, see this little bit right here on this side pops out a little bit too far, and this one is just recessed almost to the point where it's flush. Other than that, I'm happy with this. Ultimately, I was going to put a date in whether I was going to do it, split it up or put it down the side. At this point, it doesn't matter. I decided against it. I don't think it would have printed properly, so because the details would have been too small for a proper print. As I said earlier, I was going to use a wood material. Problem with that, it was too brittle. It looked really cool. Let me see if I can find one of the test prints. Give me one quick second here. Well, apparently not. Thought I would be able to find a test print. I found part of it, but that's not what I'm looking for. Here we go. I found a piece of the print. Not this, obviously. That was the ooze shield that I used on all these prints. So as we look at this, see how it just kind of fell apart on me? So unfortunately, as beautiful coloring this is and how nice it could look, it failed horrendously at certain points. It didn't fill in properly. I don't think I could trust on it to do so. So see right here where the wood filament did not fill in at all. What I think was going on here is some of the material is too thick for the nozzle. Mainly, I think that's what the problem was. So if you're going to work with wood filament, that's something you got to keep in mind, is that you're going to need either a thicker nozzle than what I was working with, which is a 0.4, or a different manufacturer. But I really do like this color. I've done a few prints with this material and they've come out beautifully. So I think it's one of those things that's gonna be a case by case basis. If you're gonna do wood, I recommend doing larger pieces than something so small like as this is. So as you can see, I can peel that back and you can see the inner structure. I tried a few different things and it just didn't work, which is fine. I like the results that I got out of these. I like the blue. They look nice. They're nice and strong, and the keychain can support it. Should be able to be supported fairly well, even if you're grabbing this really quickly. So yeah, hopefully they enjoy them. I had to print out 9 of these little guys, and I'm very happy with this result. Excuse me. So, alright, anyways, like I said, I had to print 9 of these little guys. I'm going to do one little thing here with this. I'm going to take this. Oops, I'm going to shake the camera. I'm going to be turning off the light in a second. And you'll see something neat. I've decided to use a glow-in-the-dark material. So if you give me a second, I want to get the material to start glowing. Which actually is kind of nice that I use the blue. Alright, so if I turn this off. Alright, so as you can see, it kind of glows pretty kind of neat. You can see the silhouette of the guitar, which is fun. I didn't get the bottom of the boot, so that's not going to glow. Which I think that looks pretty cool. And I think that's kind of a fun little thing. As you can see, it glows in blue, which is neat. Alright, let me turn this back on. Alright, here we go. Alright. There they are. As far as print-wise goes, I actually didn't have any real problems printing these. They printed very nicely, so which makes me happy. That means material waste was down to a minimal. And using a ooze shield actually, I think, saved me a big amount of headache. So, yep, those are the 9 that I'll be giving out to some relatives. Now, with that said, doesn't mean I didn't have failures. I have these 2 which failed. Now, let's talk about the failure here. Ironically, the way I printed these I printed them together. They were spaced out about there. And then I printed, along with that, another 2, like so. Sorry, this is hard to do looking through a little screen. So I printed out 2, like so. All these 4 at once. Now my mistake here was the way I printed them. Alright, let's get rid of the good ones, and we'll take a look at these bad ones. Now if you look at them, they're all stained here in blue. Because if you look at the back, they're all nice and clean. Now what happened is the way my printer's set up, where the 2 print heads are, they're a little bit distance apart. So it's here printing one, and it's coming, so this is like touching this one, scraping off a little bit of the blue every time it goes back and forth in whatever direction it's going. So when you're printing that, something I did not keep in mind or did not think about when I was printing these is the fact that if the print head scrapes, they're going to transfer a little bit of the color that it's utilizing. The way to avoid this, there's a couple options. You can either line them up like so, but if you need to line them up this way, spread them apart more, and that'll solve that problem. So this is user error, straight up. This is straight up user error. This is a complete mistake on my end, but it's a learning experience. This is something I was not anticipating to occur. And I think as far as a learning experience is good to know for everyone to realize who's working with a dual print system. Whether your system's printing has the print heads this way or this way. So, all right, with that, if you have not watched me create these boots, where I was using a little bit of Simplified 3D, not Simplified 3, where I was using Fusion 360, Blender, and ZBrush Core to produce this. Now, I use these particular programs for certain reasons. I primarily use ZBrush Core to get a quick design layout for the guitar and the footprint of one of the boots. I had to then take those into something like Blender to get them into a format that I can bring into ZBrush Core. Now, the reason why I had to do that and not doing it just straight up in ZBrush Core, time, and it would have taken a lot longer to get the nice clean edges in ZBrush Core than I would have in Fusion 360 or even if I did it in Blender. So why would I not continue in Blender or one of those other programs? Well, ZBrush Core, it's straight up a sculpting program, and that allowed me to get the beautiful shapes that you're seeing here formed properly. And I could have done it in Blender. It would have been a lot more work, though, to do so. And yes, you can say that Blender does have a sculpting aspect of it, where you can use sculpting, like a sculpting pen, tools, and stuff like that, using a pen. But with that, I've tried that before, and it's just a miserable experience. Where using ZBrush Core is just like awesome. It's an easy, simple program to learn. So, all right. And then the software I used to print these out was Simplified 3D. So I used that to do all my preparation. And I think from my experience, it's an expensive piece of software, $150. But the results actually do speak for themselves. If I used the free version of Slicer, which it came with my printer, it would have been a lot harder to produce the quality that I have here, and the controls are a lot more complex due to the fact that the way they have things laid out. All right. With that, guys, if you have not watched the previous 3 videos that are connected to these boots, please go back, watch them. These are my first attempts to doing YouTube, so please be excused if they ramble just like what I'm doing now. And I guarantee you I will be improving on my the quality of my videos. But that said, enjoy your evening, do something creative, do something fun, and I look forward to doing another one for you guys. Let me know what you think. I think my next set of videos is going to be connected to this guy here, which is for auto bed leveling. I need to do some modifications to my printer to get this to work. So I think that'll be the next step. And if you have any ideas as to what you want to see me do, the idea is to start from scratch, from nothing, to go to something. So, all right. With that, please subscribe. Hit that little bell icon. Give me a thumbs up if you liked it. Give me a thumbs down if you didn't. Let me know what you'd like to see in the future. Leave a comment. That'd be awesome. Thanks again. And look forward to hearing from you guys. Have a good night.